In maths, a translation describes a movement from one place to another. For example, if we had this shape here, and we moved it over to here, we could say that this shape has been translated. To help us describe translations, we use vectors, which look like this. The top number of a vector will tell us how far to move left or right, and the bottom number will tell us how far to move up or down. If the top number is positive, it tells us to move to the right. If the top number is negative, it tells us to move left. If the bottom number is positive, it tells us to move up. And if the bottom number is negative, it tells us to move down. In this vector, for example, both of the numbers are positive, so the 3 tells us to move 3 to the right, and the 5 tells us to move 5 up. To help you remember which directions the vector is describing, I like to use a coordinate axis. When we draw out a coordinate axis, we put the positive numbers towards the right and in an upwards direction. This might help you remember that positive means right and positive means up. And when we draw the negative numbers, they're over on the left and in the downwards direction. So this may help you remember that negative means to the left and negative means down. Let's have a look at some different vectors. We already said that this one was 3 to the right and 5 up. But what about this vector here? So the top number tells us to move left or right, and since this one's negative, it will mean left. So this negative 2 means 2 to the left. The bottom number tells us to move up or down, and it's negative, so this means down. So this is 3 down. So this vector would tell you to move a shape 2 to the left and 3 down. And this vector here? Well, the top number's positive, so this means to the right, so 5 right, but the bottom number's negative, so this means 1 down. And for this vector here, the top number is negative, so this is 8 to the left, and the bottom number is positive, so 3 up. And we'll have a quick look at 2 more vectors. So this one here, which is 0, 4. Since the top number is 0, we don't need to move left or right at all, so we only need to consider movement up or down. The bottom number is positive, so this one means to go 4 up. And for this vector here, negative 1, 0, negative 1 on the top means to go 1 to the left, and the 0 on the bottom means we don't need to move up or down at all, so this vector is just 1 to the left. Now let's have a look at how we can use vectors to help us do translations of shapes. In this question, we could be asked to translate the shape A by the vector 3, negative 4. This vector means 3 to the right and 4 down. So that's where we're going to move the shape. 1, 2, 3 to the right, and 1, 2, 3, 4 down. So the final shape would end up here if we've done this translation. Now I'm able to move this shape around on a computer quite easily, but in real life that's not so easy to do. Let's have a look at the 2 strategies you might use. Firstly, you could use a piece of tracing paper. You trace around the shape like this, and then we're going to move it 3 to the right and 4 down. To do this, I like to keep my eye on one of the corners of the shape. I'm going to focus on this bottom right corner here, and make sure that one goes 3 to the right and 4 down. So as I move this shape, 1 to the right, 2 to the right, 3 to the right, and then we go 1 down, 2 down, 3 down, 4 down. So the final shape will end up here. You can then lift off your tracing paper and draw your shape underneath. There is another way of doing this though. We could do this without tracing paper by doing it one point at a time. I'm going to mark each of the corners of the shape with a different coloured cross. We're going to start with a black cross and we're just going to move it 3 to the right and 4 down. So 1, 2, 3 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4 down. So the black cross will end up here. Now let's do the green one. 1, 2, 3 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4 down. So the green cross ends up here. And we'll do the same with the blue one as well. 1, 2, 3 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4 down. So the blue cross ends up here. You can now draw in your final triangle and it's in the same place as it was before. It doesn't matter what method you use for this as long as you do end up in the right place. It's likely you could be asked to translate a shape that's on a coordinate grid like this. So for this question, we've been asked to translate the shape by the vector negative 2, 3. And we've been asked to label the image B. This vector here tells us we need to go 2 to the left and 3 up. I'm going to translate this one by marking on the corners of the shape. So let's start with the blue one in the bottom left and go 1, 2 to the left and 1, 2, 3 up. So the blue cross goes here. Now we'll do the green one, 1, 2 to the left, 1, 2, 3 up. The green cross goes here. And finally the black one, 1, 2 to the left, 1, 2, 3 up, and the black cross goes here. So our resulting shape goes here, which we call the image, and we've been asked to label this one B, so let's place a B inside that triangle. Now let's try a second example, so this time we've got this shape here, and the question says translate shape C by the vector 0, -4, and we need to label the image D this time. So this vector here means we don't move to the left or right at all because there's a 0, but we do go 4 down. I'm going to do this one with the tracing paper technique. So if I trace around this shape, and then keep my eye on one of the corners, I just need to move it 4 squares down. So 1 down, 2 down, 3 down, 4 down. And we'll draw the resulting shape here, and this one needs to be labelled D. Sometimes an exam question will already have done the translation for us, and we need to describe what's happened. A question like this would be worded as follows. Describe fully the single transformation that maps shape A onto shape B. So here we've been asked for a single transformation. It's important you understand that there are 4 possibilities for transformations. They could be rotation, reflection, translation, or enlargement. Now obviously for this video, since it's about translations, the answer will be translation. But in your exam you need to decide which one you're being asked about. So for this one we'll write down the word translation, and this actually scores us 1 mark. Then we need to give the vector that it's been translated by. In order to work out the vector, I'm going to pick a point on shape A, so the one in the bottom left here, and mark on the corresponding point on shape B, so the one that's also in the bottom left. I'm then going to work out what the movement was to get from this point on shape A to the same point on shape B. Remember for vectors the top number is moving left or right, so I'm going to move left or right first, and I can see for this one I need to go 1 square to the right. Then we need to go up or down, and I can see we need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares up. So we went 1 to the right, which means the top number on the vector will be a 1, and then we went 5 up, so the bottom number will be a 5. And we finished the question. Let's try a second one. So this time we need to describe the single transformation that maps shape C onto shape D. Once again, it's going to be a translation, and we write that down because it scores us 1 of the marks. And then we need to give the vector. So I'm going to pick a point that's on shape C. It doesn't matter which one again, but I'm going to go for the top right one, as long as I then choose the same one on shape D, so the top right one. I then need to work out how I get from the first cross to the second one. Remember, vectors go left or right first, so for this one I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right, and then we go up or down, and I need to go 1, 2 down. So this vector will be 4 to the right and 2 down, which means we have a positive 4 on the top, but a negative 2 on the bottom. And finally, let's describe the single transformation from shape E onto shape F. We're going to start by writing down it as a translation to get that mark, and then we need to work out its vector. Let's pick a point on shape E. I'm going to go for this one here, and we'll mark on the corresponding point on shape F, which is this one here. To get from the cross that's on shape E to the cross that's on shape F, I just need to move to the left. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. I don't need to move up or down, so this vector will be -4 and then 0. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it useful. Check out the one I think you should watch next, subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos, and why not try the exam questions I've put in this video's description.